Hello everyone, it's me Hunter and I'm back with another Thomas the Tank Engine character. This one has been a long time in the making, or I guess not in the making, but very anticipated for. A lot of people who watch my Building Wellsworth series has seen the Toby model progress in the background, as usually when I wasn't working on him, I stored him on the Wellsworth build layout. And people were always asking me, so I'm finally able to bring you this model. It took me a little bit longer than I thought it would to get the parts in. This model actually, one of my first models to go through two phases of designs. I want to say this is really the first one that had those two significant phases. Gordon and Henry kind of had that phase, but not really, mainly because I guess, yeah, you can say Gordon and Henry also had two phases of design, but Toby very noticeably had these two phases. Initially, I just used 1x4 bricks with the stud on the one side, so you got that nice gap between the tiles for wood planks. Then I realized, well, I can't get the sticker on, or at least not well, because I would have to actually chop the sticker up so it would jump tile to tile, and I was like, oh, that could be interesting. But then since I couldn't find a good number 7 sticker, I ended up falling back on this idea, which I've seen, which we'll talk about when we get to the side of it. But here's Toby. The two things I don't like about the model are the sticker and the some of the interior, the back part of his interior. Now we'll go ahead and we'll kind of check out his face right here. We have his lamp up top. I went back and forth on if I wanted to just do a 1x2 jumper plate or this 2x2 jumper plate. I want the 2x2. That way I could center the lamp right in the very middle. It kind of messes up or messes with a little bit of the layout, his front layout, but I'm okay with it. I think it looks great. He looks fantastic. The face is a 4x4 stud area. I went back. I almost considered doing a 3x4, which is what I do for my troublesome trucks. But Toby does have a square face, though it is a little smaller on his models when you see him in CGI and in the model era. It's a little smaller, but Lego, a lot of things get pushed up a little bigger. We have the cow catcher down below, which looks fantastic. I got all of these windows. I went with an open design. You can argue with that when you look at his model, he's actually got 2 windows, because usually one or two of them is always open. However, just due to the constrictions with Lego, I opted for these 2 larger windows in front, which look great. Coming to the side, we got that number 7, which is actually so I have a sticker sheet of yellow numbers that don't look much like Thomas numbers. They're very rounded, very balloony is the best way to describe them. Anyways, I took 2 N's from that sticker sheet and turned them into 7s. So that's why there's probably a slight difference between the 2 7s, and they're not perfect. However, they're the best 7s I could get with what I had. I didn't want to do what I did with Duck, which was paint the letters, and that's what I did with Duck. All the stickers were actually painted using model paint for model trains or for model planes. And to be honest, the yellow, every time I've tried to paint in yellow, no matter what brand of paint, no matter what style of paint, modeling paint, general acrylic paint, whatever, it's always been a pain in my butt. So the one thing I knew for sure is I was not going to paint the 7. I had to find a yellow sticker, whether it was a 7 or in this case an N, that I had to chop up. So that's what I did here. And as you can see here, I went with, I had these, I want to say they're 1x2 by 2 bricks with studs on the side. I don't know exactly, because I don't think they're quite 2 bricks tall, or they're even taller than 2 bricks. If you have a brickhead, anyone who has a brickhead, who's built a brickhead, it's that gray piece that you see, and that you get a bunch of them. That's the part I use to build Toby. And actually, the corner ones, though, use half versions of that in brown, seeing as they come in a couple sets. A good example was for 2020, the Halloween set that came out with the tractor and the sign. The tractor had 2 of those brown 1x1x2, as for right now we'll call them, bricks with a stud on the side. And I use those on the edges just so you wouldn't see the gray as easily. He's got 2 windows on his side and his side plates. His side plates aren't the original design either. Like I said, this model went through 2 phases of design, and the first first design plates, side plates, were probably the better of the two versions. Here's the issue. All my models are built in 6 wide. If Toby was an 8 wide build, I actually meant to have him up here in my studio when I recorded it, to have those original prototype, as we'll call them, side plates. However, since Toby is an 8 wide model, I didn't have a choice. I couldn't use them because the wheels and the axles for the wheels got in the way, unfortunately. So I opted with this design. I went through several different plating designs, and at the end of the day, I just had to go with the plates I had. If I could go back and do this a little differently, I'd probably end up doing 2x4 plates and then probably 2x2 plates on the ends. Unfortunately, I don't have any large plates, and at the time, that wasn't my goal. I didn't want these plates holding me up. I still think it looks good. Though you kind of have that giant crease down the middle, you can kind of say the whole thing with Toby from here to here is he looks like he's got this giant crease down the middle, and that's just because of the plates. But I still think he's a fantastic model, especially for the work I put in. Changing the design, I think he looks great. Now, the back end of Toby is nothing special. This is the back end of Toby, and you can kind of see here, this is what it would look like on the front, except one of these, probably the top one, would have ended up being just a 1x1 jumper plate. I'm gonna take a risk because I think right now my Peter video hasn't been flagged, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave comments open on this model. If it works, I'm actually gonna go through and start opening comments on all the other Thomas the Tank Engine characters I've done. But anyways, that would have been there, and I guess one of the options is I could go back and always change in the front if you all think it's going to look better. And to be fair, I never tried it. I just kind of guessed and just picked one and went with it, because again, it wasn't my biggest concern at the time. This side of Toby is exactly the same as the other side, even on tiles on the bottom. The coolest part of Toby, which I think we need to talk about for sure, I'll go this way. We'll see if it even I don't know if it's going to focus on the top. There we go, is this top. His roof. So we have his funnel, this other rod here, which I don't know what it's for. Maybe someone else does. But he has like this other kind of rod sticking up right here. And then, of course, he's got his rope with his bell. We couldn't forget his bell. I was really excited to do the bell. I knew exactly right away how I wanted to do it. I just wasn't sure if I had the parts on hand. I actually had to go out and buy there's a fisherman collectible minifigure with a fishing pole and this line. So that's what I ended up using for the string there. Again, I got a whole bunch of these nice gold parts, so I built a bell. And I made his funnel smaller just because I think it looked better on him, actually. Because inside, there is some inside detail. He's got kind of a boiler, as well as some controls, just like all my models. Unfortunately, his roof's not designed to come off easily, mainly because I wanted to make sure everything was solid. These walls on their own are very flimsy, since they're only 1 brick tall, or 1 brick wide, so there's not a lot of support with them. So I wanted to just say, you know what, I can easily slip a minifigure in here, or here, and that's all I need. When you look at the side here, you can actually see, kind of the last thing to talk about, is these inside parts. Since the bricks I used are gray, I had to cover them up in some way. The ones that are on the other side of these longer walls, you can't really see. It's okay. But these ones, the walls were so short, and obviously, because this is where they stand and get in and out, you were going to see it. So though this is a little thick, it uses some plate and tile designs. I think it's okay for now. That'd be one of the things I'd probably end up changing down the road, whether its parts become available in different color, or I just find a better way to do it. So overall, that was Toby. Actually, before I forget, I don't think I talked about this. This is just using some of those angled grill plates you've been getting. You can find a lot of Star Wars sets and just other industrial or ship sets. And they were always going to be part of his cow catchers. That was my original cow catcher design, and that's probably one of the few things that stayed on from the original concept. Even the kind of plating and tiling decision up for the roof changed. So the front and back cow catchers are the only one that changed. I want to thank you all for watching my video. Comment if you can. Please like, comment, and if you can, and subscribe. Otherwise, I'm running out of time, so I will see you in my next video.